the strength to take it, they'll have to...
Let's discover the curious world of 1960s television's biggest misfires. Those wildly ambitious, often head-scratching shows that flopped spectacularly. From bizarre fantasy comedies and off-kilter game shows to ill-fated westerns, muddled sitcoms, and short-lived variety hours, these programs vanished fast, sometimes after just a single episode. So, join us as we explore the 25 forgotten TV shows from the 1960s that were huge flops.
Well, your kneeling, part of you is kneeling, and the other part of you is elbowing.
Few television programs have entered the record books for being canceled almost as soon as they began, but You're in the Picture holds that dubious honor. Premiering on CBS in January 1961, the Jackie Gleason-hosted game show tasked celebrity contestants with sticking their heads through cutout illustrations and guessing the scene. The format was awkward, confusing, and immediately ridiculed by critics. After its disastrous debut, Gleason returned the following week, not with another episode but with a live apology, admitting the show was a terrible mistake.
Now, for instance, when they came to me with this idea, You're in the Picture, I gotta take the blame for this.
The time slot was briefly converted into a talk format before cancellation. Its legacy remains as one of TV's shortest-lived ventures, often cited as the quintessential one-episode wonder in American television history. From the infamous one-episode disaster of You're in the Picture, could television possibly get even more controversial? At the tail end of the decade, Turn-On became infamous as one of television's boldest miscalculations. Airing on ABC in February 1969, it was designed as a rapid-fire, high-tech alternative to Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In.
Why don't I ever get the girl?
Well, I don't know. It's a drag, I know, but you've got to realize that there's some things that public...
The program used a computer-like digital style, strobing visual effects, and offbeat humor that confused both viewers and affiliates. Some stations pulled the plug mid-broadcast, refusing to air the remainder of the episode. Network executives, facing furious backlash from audiences and advertisers, canceled the series immediately. No second episode ever aired, though a second was filmed. Its jarring pace and unconventional editing were considered ahead of their time, but far too alienating for 1960s audiences. Today, Turn-On is remembered as perhaps TV's most catastrophic launch.
Hello, Uncle Simon. What a marvelous surprise.
I'm looking for Terrence. Have you seen it?
No, but I'm expecting him any minute. Won't you sit down?
No, thanks.
When ABC bet on Broadway star Tammy Grimes to carry her own sitcom, executives assumed her theatrical charm would translate to primetime success. Premiering in September 1966, The Tammy Grimes Show featured her as a wealthy heiress who preferred adventure over responsibility, a role tailored specifically for her flamboyant persona. Unfortunately, the script writing was weak, jokes fell flat, and Grimes's style didn't resonate with television audiences accustomed to more conventional comedy. Despite heavy promotion, the series was canceled after only 4 weeks, making it one of the shortest-lived sitcoms of its time. Critics often cite the show as an example of miscasting and poor creative direction. Its abrupt demise ended ABC's hopes for a star-driven hit anchored by Grimes.
You're a loyal son, darling.
Well, heck, if a guy can't be loyal to his own mother.
Cool it, we've got company.
Hey, Dave, did you know the Durgans just got a new car?
Of all the bizarre sitcom concepts the 1960s produced, My Mother the Car has gone down as one of the most ridiculed. Airing on NBC from September 1965 to April 1966, the show centered on attorney David Crabtree, played by Jerry Van Dyke, whose deceased mother was reincarnated as a 1928 Porter touring car. Every week, she dispensed motherly advice through the car's radio. While ambitious, the premise was widely mocked as absurd and tasteless, even by 1960s sitcom standards. Despite completing a full season of 30 episodes, it never gained traction in ratings. Critics quickly labeled it one of the worst TV shows of all time, a reputation it still carries today, making it an unforgettable example of misguided television creativity. Television history is full of strange experiments, but few were as puzzling as ABC's The Ugliest Girl in Town.
Running for your councilwoman on the Labour ticket. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to give you any political double talk. I'm simply here to tell you that England is bursting at her seams.
Premiering in September 1968, the sitcom followed Tim O'Connor, a Hollywood talent agent played by Peter Kastner, who ends up dressing as a woman for a photo shoot. The pictures accidentally land him a modeling contract in London, forcing him to live a double life as Timothy and Timmy. While ABC hoped to cash in on quirky, mod-era humor, audiences rejected the cross-dressing premise as awkward and far-fetched. Critics derided it as tasteless and unfunny, and after only 20 episodes, the show disappeared by January 1969. Today, it's remembered less as comedy and more as a cautionary tale of TV misjudgment. Given the odd concept of the ugliest girl in town, would time-traveling antics stand a better chance?
Well, heck to wherever we are, this place has the same gravity as Earth. This plant's really kind of spooky. Let's look around.
If there was ever a show that proved a catchy theme song isn't enough, it was It's About Time. Created by Sherwood Schwartz, the producer behind Gilligan's Island, the sitcom aired on CBS in 1966. It told the story of two astronauts who accidentally traveled back to the Stone Age, where they tried to adapt to primitive life. Early episodes focused on caveman slapstick, but viewers grew bored with repetitive plots. Mid-season, producers retooled the premise, bringing the cavemen forward into modern times, but by then the ratings had collapsed. Lasting just 26 episodes, it failed to capture the same magic as Schwartz's other creations. Though short-lived, it remains a quirky example of 1960s high-concept sitcom experimentation gone wrong.
Gonna tell our friends.
No problem. We'll just tell them our last tree had a baby.
Not all star vehicles guarantee success, and The Pruitts of Southampton is a perfect example. Rebranded mid-run as The Phyllis Diller Show, the sitcom debuted in September 1966 with the legendary comedienne in the lead. The premise revolved around a wealthy family forced to hide their bankruptcy to maintain appearances among elite neighbors. Despite Diller's sharp wit, the scripts were flat and the supporting cast failed to elevate the material. ABC desperately retooled and renamed the series, but audiences didn't follow. By the spring of 1967, it was gone. Later ranked among TV Guide's 50 worst shows of all time, the series stands as proof that even a beloved comic talent cannot rescue weak writing and misguided production.
Run along, girls. That naughty man's going to start using that ugly word again.
Haven't heard anything yet, madam. We were here first.
For networks in the 1960s, summer camp seemed like a ripe setting for comedy, leading NBC to launch Camp Runamuck in 1965. The sitcom revolved around the zany rivalry between two camps, one for boys and one for girls, with slapstick antics and exaggerated characters driving the humor. Despite a strong push from the network and a cast of energetic young performers, the series never found its footing. Critics dismissed it as juvenile and formulaic, appealing only to children while alienating older viewers. The show lasted just one season, canceled in 1966 after 26 episodes. Though it briefly resurfaced in reruns, Camp Runamuck faded quickly from memory, remembered now only as another lightweight entry in NBC's lineup of forgettable mid-60s comedies.
$50.
Oh, that's a lot of money. To make a few little repairs like that shouldn't cost over $50. He's out of his mind!
When CBS greenlit The Baileys of Balboa, it was meant to rival the sunny charm of Gilligan's Island, but the results were far less appealing. Debuting in September 1964, the sitcom focused on Sam Bailey, a charter boat operator in Southern California who constantly clashed with wealthy yacht club members. Starring Paul Ford and John Dehner, the The show offered light nautical comedy but suffered from repetitive storylines and uninspired humor. Critics quickly labeled it dull, and audiences didn't stick around. Despite Desilu Productions' involvement, the series lasted only 26 episodes before cancellation in April 1965. Today, it is remembered more for CBS's misguided scheduling experiment than for any real comedic impact, making it a classic one-season flop.
Home and the wrong friend.
Just like Ed Sullivan, I know.
More coffee, Uncle Ben?
Unlike some shows that flop due to poor quality, Accidental Family actually earned decent reviews. Premiering in September 1967, the sitcom starred Jerry Van Dyke as widowed comedian Jerry Webster, who tried to balance his career with raising his young son on a farm. The series explored themes of family, responsibility, and modern parenthood, and Van Dyke's charm was often praised by critics. Unfortunately, its time slot was disastrous, pitting it against high-rated competition that crushed its chances. Ratings fell so low that NBC pulled the plug by January 1968 after just 16 episodes. Though short-lived, it showed flashes of warmth and wit, later being remembered as a promising concept that never had the right circumstances to succeed. With Accidental Family's promising but ill-fated season, how would ABC handle the challenges of a daytime drama? Daytime dramas were everywhere in the 1960s, but ABC's A Flame in the Wind, later retitled A Time for Us, failed to ignite viewer interest. The soap opera premiered in December 1964, set in the small town of Haviland, centering on family feuds, romantic entanglements, and class struggles. Despite a talented cast and traditional melodrama, it struggled in the ratings, ranking at the very bottom among daytime serials. In an attempt to save it, ABC rebranded the show in 1965, but the overhaul made little difference. By December of that year, it was canceled after just 12 months on air. The show is now largely forgotten, remembered mostly by soap opera historians as one of ABC's earliest and biggest daytime failures.
Oh, what a rotten break going to the one place where you and Brahms showed up.
Tell me about it.
Well, what did he say?
Sometimes a gimmick isn't enough to sustain a series, and Occasional Wife proved that lesson. Premiering in September 1966, the sitcom followed Peter Christopher, a bachelor pressured by his boss to appear married in order to advance his career. He convinces a young woman, Greta Patterson, to pose as his wife, occasionally, to maintain appearances. The premise offered plenty of comic setups but quickly wore thin, relying heavily on contrived misunderstandings. Despite its catchy theme song and a clever narrator known as Man in the Middle, audiences grew bored, and ratings dropped steadily. NBC canceled the series after a single season of 30 episodes in May 1967. Today, it is remembered as one of the more contrived and disposable sitcoms of the decade. When CBS aimed to mix Western action with sitcom humor, Pistols and Petticoats premiered in September 1966, hoping to appeal to fans of both genres. The series followed a spirited family of female gunslingers, led by Ann Sheridan, navigating small-town life while contending with outlaws. Although the concept was unique for its time, the show faced challenges due to the declining popularity of TV westerns in the late 1960s. Tragically, Ann Sheridan's untimely death during production further affected the series' continuity. After only 26 episodes, CBS canceled the show in 1967, leaving Pistols and Petticoats as a largely forgotten experiment in blending westerns with comedic storytelling.
I wonder how come people call him Love.
Maybe because he's so clean.
Cleanest fella I ever seen.
ABC tried to capitalize on the mid-60s fascination with westerns by launching The Rounders, but the series quickly proved that traditional cowboy tropes weren't enough for success. Airing in 1965, the show focused on Ben Jones and Jim Ed Love, two modern cowboys navigating ranch life in Texas. While the premise allowed for light-hearted comedy and occasional adventure, the scripts were formulaic, and the humor failed to land with audiences. Ratings lagged, and the show struggled to find a unique voice amidst a crowded field of Western-themed programming. After just one season of 26 episodes, ABC canceled The Rounders in 1967. Today, it exists mainly as a footnote in the decline of 1960s television westerns. Run, Buddy, Run entered CBS's 1966 schedule with a bright premise, a bumbling private detective paired with a hapless sidekick in a comedic take on crime solving. Unfortunately, the show's humor relied heavily on slapstick and predictable misunderstandings, leaving audiences unimpressed. The lead performances, though energetic, couldn't elevate the lackluster scripts, and critics quickly labeled the series as forgettable. Despite airing in a relatively favorable time slot, ratings remained low, and CBS canceled the series after just 16 episodes in 1967. Run, Buddy, Run serves as an example of how 1960s television often experimented with crime-comedy hybrids, but not all concepts translated to lasting success. Today, it's remembered primarily by enthusiasts of obscure TV flops. After Run, Buddy, Run, could a bumbling deputy in Rango finally find a winning formula?
Here's the thing, Jake. You're not going to hold anything against you just because you made one little mistake. You always believe that man can change for the better.
ABC's Rango premiered in 1967 as a quirky Western sitcom starring Tim Conway as a bumbling deputy sheriff in the fictional town of New Prospect. The network hoped Conway's comedic timing would carry the show, but viewers were unprepared for its blend of slapstick humor and Western tropes. Ratings were poor from the start, and critics described the series as uneven and overly reliant on one-liners and physical comedy. Despite Conway's later fame, Rango lasted only 17 episodes before ABC pulled the plug. Its short run left little impact on the broader television landscape, making it a classic example of how star power alone cannot guarantee a hit in the unpredictable world of 1960s programming.
Give a present to a child who wouldn't be getting one, and Christmas will be happier this year for families who share with the child.
Few television projects carried as much anticipation as The Judy Garland Show, which premiered on CBS in September 1963. Garland, already a Hollywood icon, was expected to bring star power and charm to her variety hour. The series featured a mix of musical performances and comedy sketches, but frequent changes in producers led to inconsistent formats and pacing issues. Competing against the popular Bonanza, the show struggled with low ratings throughout its run. Despite Garland's celebrated singing, the instability behind the scenes prevented the program from finding a steady audience. After one season of 26 episodes, CBS canceled the series in 1964, leaving it remembered more for Garland's talent than for television success. During the late 1960s superhero craze, NBC attempted to ride the wave with Captain Nace, premiering in January 1967. The show starred William Daniels as Carter Nash, a timid chemist who secretly becomes a superhero with questionable abilities. While the premise allowed for humorous situations and mild satire of comic book conventions, the series suffered from weak storytelling and gimmicky visual effects. Audiences found the hero's ineptitude amusing initially, but the novelty wore off quickly. Despite the popularity of other superhero shows at the time, Captain Nice failed to gain traction and was canceled after 15 episodes. Its blend of camp, comedy, and heroics remains a quirky example of NBC's experimental programming that failed to stick with viewers.
I think we're on an island called Bomano. Supposed to have been a test site for a hydrogen bomb.
ABC's The New People represented a bold attempt at a socially conscious drama, premiering in September 1969. The series followed a group of young survivors stranded on an island after a plane crash, exploring themes of community building, leadership, and societal experimentation. Despite this ambitious premise, the show struggled with uneven writing, underdeveloped characters, and inconsistent pacing, which alienated viewers. Ratings were poor from the start, and although critics appreciated the attempt at a serious youth drama, it wasn't enough to save the series. ABC canceled The New People after a single season of 17 episodes. Today, it is mostly remembered as a thought-provoking concept that never found its audience, reflecting the era's appetite for experimental television.
An autopsy. Why, there are no injuries, no marks on the body. An old man's heart stops.
In 1966, NBC introduced The Cat, starring Robert Loggia as a sophisticated former cat burglar turned crime fighter. The series promised intrigue, style, and adventure, blending espionage with suave action sequences. However, despite its sleek presentation, the show failed to connect with audiences. Many critics found the plot formulaic and the character development shallow, while viewers were unimpressed by the mix of action and mild comedy. Competing against stronger network programming, The Cat struggled in ratings, lasting only 26 episodes before cancellation in 1967. Though its lead actor would later achieve fame, the series itself faded quickly from public memory, remembered primarily as an ambitious but unsuccessful experiment in stylish 1960s television. In the mid-1960s, CBS attempted to translate the Smothers Brothers stage comedy into a primetime fantasy sitcom, but the Smothers Brothers show revealed that not all theatrical charm works on television. The series, which premiered in September 1965, featured Tom returning as an apprentice angel to his brother Dick's world of publishing. However, the material failed to capitalize on their strengths. The brothers themselves criticized the scripts as too gimmicky and pushed for rewrites. Behind-the-scenes strife, format instability, and a growing mismatch between their comedic style and the sitcom template led to its cancellation in April 1966 after one 32-episode season. Today, the show is mostly remembered as a forgotten early attempt, but one that set the stage for their later success in the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour. Following the Smothers Brothers show, could a military-themed comedy like Ensign O'Toole strike the right chord? NBC's Ensign O'Toole attempted to mix nautical adventure with situational comedy, premiering in October 1962. The show centered on Ensign O'Toole, a mischievous U.S. Navy officer, and his comedic antics aboard a naval ship. While the concept promised lighthearted humor and military camaraderie, the execution was formulaic and relied heavily on slapstick. Critics described it as unoriginal, and viewers struggled to connect with the bland storylines and uninspired characters. Despite a capable cast, including Dean Jones, the series failed to capture ratings, lasting only one season of 32 episodes before its cancellation in 1963. Today, Ensign O'Toole remains a little-remembered relic, a case study of how mid-century military sitcoms often floundered without strong narrative innovation.
More to life than just living. It's not all sweetness, it's not all light. There's always taking and giving.
When television's golden era sought to bring film legends to the small screen, The Bing Crosby Show premiered with high expectations in 1964. Starring the legendary singer and actor Bing Crosby, the sitcom centered on his character-balancing work, family, and comedic mishaps in everyday life. Despite Crosby's immense charm and warm personality, the show struggled to resonate with audiences, who expected the same magic from his films. Scripts were often predictable, and supporting characters failed to create memorable dynamics. Critics noted that while Crosby's presence was delightful, the series lacked originality. Airing for a single season, it was canceled after just 28 episodes. Today, the show is remembered more as a curious experiment than a television success. Hollywood legend Jean Arthur made a rare television appearance with The Jean Arthur Show in September 1966, but the series failed to match her cinematic acclaim. The sitcom focused on Arthur's character navigating modern urban life with humor and sophistication. Despite her iconic presence, the writing was weak, and comedic timing suffered from awkward scripting and underdeveloped side characters. Viewers, accustomed to Arthur's impeccable film performances, were disappointed by the television adaptation. CBS canceled the show after just a handful of episodes within the same year. Although the series attempted to leverage star power, it stands as a reminder that even legendary actors cannot compensate for uninspired plots and a lack of audience engagement.
Do you sleep on the sofa tonight?
What are you trying to do? Advertise the fact that we're married?
I'm sorry, hon. Mr. Bridges?
Yes, Miss Welton.
CBS's The Carrie Williams Show premiered in September 1964, with Carrie Williams playing a woman juggling romance and career ambitions. The sitcom explored romantic comedy themes, including marital misunderstandings and societal expectations of women. Despite a talented lead and lively supporting cast, the humor was often predictable, and storylines lacked innovation, causing viewers to lose interest quickly. Ratings failed to meet network expectations, and the show concluded after one season of 30 episodes in 1965. Though praised occasionally for Williams' performance, the series is largely forgotten in the annals of 1960s television. It exemplifies how even appealing leads could not rescue programs suffering from weak concepts and repetitive comedic formulae.